left. Oh, you guys directed this time. I like it. I'm blessed.
How do you think you've changed, or have you changed since 6 years ago when you were pretty much introduced to the world after that NFC Championship game?
I don't know. I'm a father now. I guess that's your biggest change, and that changes you in a lot of things fundamentally, and it gives you more patience, more understanding, changes your perspective a bit. Got married, and just kind of stayed the course. Went through the Achilles surgery, went through getting cut. So I guess experiences have changed me and moved the needle a little bit for me.
A lot of your teammates have credited you for bringing a physical mentality to the secondary. What does increased physicality do for a defense when corners and safeties are able to support in the run game?
Well, it's just part of playing great defense. It's part of playing fast defense. I think in the NFL there's a certain reputation for corners, and that you're not supposed to be physical. You don't have to tackle hard. You just kind of get in the way, or you fall at a guy, and that's not how I think it should go, and that's not how good defense goes. The corners come up, they play physical, the safeties play physical, they play the run game, linebackers play the run in the pass, the safeties play both, and so everybody's involved in setting the tone. And so as a corner, you see somebody catch the ball in the flat, or you see a running back coming up, you lay everything you got into him.
Richard on the left.
All right.
Richard, there was a new secondary coach that joined the team this year, Joe Woods. What impact has he had on the group and you in particular? And if he moves along to a bigger job ahead, how great a loss would that be to the team?
Well, he's been outstanding. He's just been very, very focused on technique. That's the thing that Joe focuses on every single day. It's not really the schematic stuff because we're playing the scheme. Guys understand the scheme, but it's the technique, it's the footwork, it's the hand placement, it's the body position, it's the how we're playing stacks, how we're playing bunches. And I'd be happy for him if he got another chance to coordinate a defense. He deserves it, obviously. It'd be a loss, but I'm sure this scheme and this system has a lot of great coaches that have coached it, and he deserves that. Daniel Bullocks is still with us, and maybe he'll get a promotion as well, and you just be happy for those guys. I don't think you think about, oh man, is it a big loss and what's going to change? Because the scheme's going to be the scheme's going to be the same. Guys are going to still be in the positions they're in, but you're happy that they're getting the respect and the money that they deserve.
Josh in the middle.
There's been a lot of talk about going to a 17-game season in the new CBA. How do you view that as a player? And
I think it's just speculation at this point. I think it's the owners using the media and the way owners use the media to try to control the rhetoric. And I don't think it's something that players are interested in, honestly. And if that's the point they're negotiating on, I think these negotiations are going to go a lot longer than anticipated, because it's odd to me, and it's always odd when you hear player safety is their biggest concern, and they're really standing up for player safety, but it seems like player safety has a price tag. Player safety up to the point of, hey, 17 games makes us this much money, so we really don't care how safe they are if you're going to pay us this much money to play another game. And so that's the part that's really concerning for us as a union and us as players, because they think that players have a price tag on their health, and I don't think we're in the same ballpark in that regard. Players have been more aware of player safety and longevity and just life after football. The league, kind of pretends that they're interested in it, pretends that they care about it, makes all these rules, fines all these players, but then still proposes to players to play an extra game, and not just 17. They're really just saying 17 so that they can get to 18. And so that's 2 more opportunities for players to risk their bodies, to put their bodies on the line. And that's what's so ridiculous about it. And nobody calls them out. Nobody calls out the hypocrisy. And I'm hoping that one day, people will be brave enough to call out the hypocrisy of saying, hey, we really care about player safety, but hey, we also want you to play an extra game, put your body on the line, and risk your career.
Hey, Richard.
Hey.
Is Sunday the biggest challenge your secondary has faced this season? If so, what makes it that way?
I don't know. It'll be a great challenge for sure. But to say it's the greatest challenge would almost to be disrespect some of the great passing games that we've played, because we've played some outstanding passing teams this year. We played the Saints and everything that Drew Brees had to bring. We played Tampa Bay and early on in the season with their 2,000-yard receivers and everything that they brought. We played the Rams and Sean and his system and how they get things done. We played A-Rod twice. We've played some teams that can sling it around pretty good. Some quarterbacks that can sling it, some receivers that are really talented. So we also played Atlanta with Matt and Julio, and they're outstanding. But these guys are fast and they're talented, so it'll be a great challenge for sure.
Richard in the middle. Hey, Richard.
Hey.
Hey, you said your son turns 5 3 days after the Super Bowl, and he wants a ring for his birthday.
Yeah, that's what he asked for. Literally.
How much more enjoyable has this experience been this time around with him able to understand kind of what's going on, and what's the plan for that present if you guys win? Right.
It's unbelievable. I mean, that's one of the best parts about this experience, and that's what makes it so much different and so much, and it gives you so much more perspective because he's so aware of it. It's not like he's an infant and he's just kind of getting drug around and doesn't really know what. He's fully aware. He's like, hey, that's a Super Bowl helmet. Hey, you guys are in the Super Bowl. If you win, you get the championship trophy. Like, he fully understands it, and that's what's so cool to me. When the second Super Bowl, the one we lost, he was a few days from being born, and thankfully he stuck in there because it's kind of a cool birthday. He's born on 2/5, which is it's kind of like I set it up that way, but whatever. But it really gives you something to fight for. It gives you something to go out there, and it'll be a special memory and something he'll remember forever if we're able to get it done.
Richard, good afternoon. Federico Olvera, Mexico.
Good afternoon.
You have been in a Super Bowl before. How does that experience help to you and your team to win the next Sunday? And the second, what are those things you love from the 49ers culture?
I'm one of those people who doesn't really subscribe to the notion that playing in a Super Bowl really helps you in the next one. I guess it gives you more experience to advise guys of what to expect throughout the week. But once you kick off and all the cameras flash one time, it ends up just being football. When we won our first Super Bowl, we didn't have any experience. Nobody had been there. Nobody had played there, and we won by almost 40 points. And so I think that at the end of the day, guys just have to understand that, keep everything in perspective. Like, it's a football game. You're going to go out there and you're going to have an opponent. They're going to run their plays. You have to execute better at the end of the day. And if you execute better, you play longer, you strive harder, you strain, you have a chance of winning the ball game. And once you win it, it's a special feeling.
Yeah. Hey, Richard, how you doing? Congratulations.
Good, and yourself. Thank you.
Just curious, take you back to the union again, union and owners. Do you think that players, particularly black players, should have more of a voice or raise their voices more when these coaching cycles come around? I don't know how much they pay attention to it, but do you think that they should add their voices to whether it's discontent or,
I'd say I'm a black player, and I say I've raised my voice about as loud as I can, and say it as much as I can. I spoke about it at Media Day, which is one of the biggest days you can say it, but I put more of the responsibility on you, on the media, because you're asking people who have no say in it. You're asking players, you know what I mean? We literally have no say in who gets hired, who gets fired. We have no say in whether we get hired or fired. But the people who have say, we don't pressure. The owners, we don't call, we don't push to get them. When you have them in the meeting, nobody asks them the hard questions because you don't want to rub them the wrong way. You don't want to get on their bad side. So I almost say it's your fault that we don't have those answers, because none of you guys are asking them the hard questions. Everybody feels comfortable asking a player a hard question about, man, why aren't these black coaches getting jobs? Ask the dudes who hire. Ask the dudes who have all the power in the world to hire and fire these men. Then you'll get the answers. Or maybe we're not looking for the answers from those dudes because we kind of know what they are.
Hey, Richard.
Hey.
I think a lot of NFL players sort of have dual personalities off the field and on. It seems like perhaps even particularly strong in your case. And I'm just wondering, do you consciously flip a switch when you step on the field for a game, or does that switch flip itself, so to speak?
I think it kind of flips itself because it's just a natural competitiveness. And I don't even know if it's just the field. It's just when I'm in a competitive setting, when there's a win or a loss. And I think that's one of the things that my parents and teachers realized early on, that if you make it competitive, then I'll put everything I can into it. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be a spelling bee, it could be a quiz, it could be a paper, it could be, if you make it a competition, and I'll do my best to win it. And so I guess honestly, my mind gets in that mode anytime there's a competition. Obviously football is a more violent and kind of alpha male game that you got to take yourself to a certain place, especially, there's so much a discrepancy in sizes. You might have a guy who's 5'7", 160 run into a guy who's 6'6", 320, and I don't know many sports that have those kind of discrepancies. But yeah, I think, off the field, when I'm with my family, when I'm with my friends, when I'm not in a competitive environment, I'm an entirely different person, but, it's life.
Hey, Richard. Hey. I'm curious, what's it been like as a defensive player to see, through the course of your career, the league trend towards offensive explosion, offensive rule adjustments? As a defensive player, I'm curious how that's been mentally an adjustment for you guys.
When you're young, it's frustrating. When you're young, it's really frustrating because you're just like, man, they got you playing with your hands behind your back. But as you get older, you're just like, you kind of see what they're doing. You're like, the fans want them to score points. You're going to do your best to stop. No matter what you do, you're wrong. There's nobody who cheers for a 6-0 game. They're seeing a 6-0 game, they're like, oh my God, this is bad football. It's like, well, these guys are making some great defensive plays. They're hitting. They're playing discipline. There's 4 interceptions, and they're like, no, it's just sloppy offense. It's like, that's not necessarily true, but I think at the end of the day, this game is designed that way. The NFL takes a poll. They got a feel for the fans, and the fans want more points. So every year the NFL looks at the points numbers, the averages, and they say, hey, either it's enough points or it's not enough, and they change the rules accordingly. And it's a job. You gotta roll with the punches.
You mentioned how are you? You mentioned your 2013 team earlier. Does this team remind you of that team at all in terms of youth, in terms of attitude that it has?
Yeah, I think the carefree and just guys that just play hard every game and the kind of underdog mentality of a lot of these players. A lot of these players are unheralded, undrafted, are kind of thrown away, are guys that were considered busts, are cut several times. I can go down the list of guys who have been kind of portrayed that way. You got Raheem, you got Armstead, who people were saying last year, like, why are we picking up his option? But now it's pretty obvious why they're picking up his option, and pretty obvious why John did what he did. But everybody's questioning it. Quan Alexander, they're saying, oh man, he's just a guy who misses a ton of tackles and he's injury prone. Like, why do we pick him up? And now you see he's one of the heartbeats of this team. Jimmy Ward, I can keep going and keep going. Laken Tomlinson, Mike Person, Jimmy. They every day they find something new to criticize Jimmy about. They never criticize his looks though, which is I can understand why. And I do see the similarities in that way. So it just makes for a really fun team to play for, because a bunch of guys who just really don't care. They go out there, they fight for one another every single day, and they let the chips fall where they may. Hard work and dedication is what all it comes down to.
Hey, Richard. How do you feel practice went today, and how have you guys maintained that even-keeled mindset this week that's kind of been a focal point for you all season amidst the craziness?
It went fantastic, actually. Today was one of our better practices, I would say. I'll leave it up to the coaching staff to say. But everybody was really executing. It was a really sharp day. Defensively, we had a ton of turnovers, guys really on the details of what they're seeing and recognizing and playing fast and trusting one another. And that's what you expect. You all hear all this talk about giving a team all this time to prepare, but you give a great defense this much time to prepare. It's going to be sharp. Guys are going to be on the details. They're going to be on every indicator, every personnel adjustment, every adjustment we make defensively. So it was a great practice. And we keep the mindset because it's just football. This is, the dog and pony show. You got to run around. It's a reality TV show. You got to do what you're asked to do. But once that's said and done, you line up on the grass, you put your cleats on, and you let your chips fall.
We got time for two more on the right over here. Hey, Richard, how you doing?
I'm good.
Hey,
Joe.
your defensive line has been incredible this year, over 40 sacks, and we know the defensive line can cover up a lot of sins in the back end. Can you take us through a play specifically this year where you came back when you came back to the huddle and said, "Ooh, thanks guys, appreciate that"?
Oh shoot! In the Minnesota game, I forget what part of the game it was on, but it was Eric's sack. Eric only had one sack in the game, but it was a max protect look, and for some reason they thought they could block Eric one-on-one. Mistake. But Diggs had run a double move, and he had run it really well, and he had got it. Like Jimmy was on it. Jimmy was on the angle. He probably would have, it'd been a bang play. Yeah. But we didn't have to worry about it because he got hit in the face. And Eric, as soon as that happened, I went to Eric. I said, "Man, you saved the day." Again, he didn't know what was going on, but it was a cool play.
Art in the front, last one. Richard, I know you mentioned this earlier in the week. You had a relationship with Kobe, and obviously a very sobering thing. Could you discuss how you met Kobe and what you heard when the accident happened, the crash happened, how you found out?
Well, I met Kobe at a Nike shoot in 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. I was going to a shoot, and Cliff King, my Nike rep, was like, "Hey, Kobe's going before you. You want to go in the meeting?" I was like, "Come on now, like there's nothing more I want to do than meet Kobe. Like y'all can throw the shoot away. I just want to meet Kobe." And when I met him, they always say the saying is like, don't meet your heroes because, they'll disappoint you. They'll, do something to not live up to your expectations. And Kobe more than exceeded my expectations. One of the most genuine guys. He knew of me. We had conversations about, obviously the success I was having. And he really liked my approach to the game and how, my dogged mentality. And I ended up having him play in my charity softball game a couple months later, and that was even more cool because he had never really played the sport, didn't really know how to play baseball. He hits a home run, of course, on his first at bat, and it's like, okay, you never played, Kobe, but a home run on the first at bat, like what a. But we ended up forming a close relationship and just having conversations and him encouraging me and pushing that mentality, and I just know he wouldn't have wanted me to be sad and to mourn and to not take advantage of this op. When you have conversations like we did, you really get a feel for what he values and who he is. And he was a great man, a great father, a great player. But I just felt like basketball was going to be the thing he was known least for once he was all said and done, man. And he was finally starting to reach his peak. Outside of that, he wanted to be known as a great father, a great businessman, a great philanthropist, and I know he was headed in that direction. It's just sad that we won't get to see his true, his true potential come to fruition.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.